Okay, I think I have an easier way to explain these major scales and stuff. And if I look right here, I have my C major scale, and there's no sharps or flats in it. And I have this circle here, and if you kind of pretend like it's a clock, we can work with it this way. But if I look at, I put C at the top of the circle, C has no sharps, no flats. And you've heard me say before about the circle of fifths, which I have over here on the right, because we're going to go to the right-hand side, which is what I use when I make the next scale for the number of sharps. So if I'm going to fifths, I count the fifth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my next note here at about 1 o'clock is going to be a G major scale, and it's going to have 1 sharp. Now I don't know which sharp it is. I could figure it out, but for this purposes, we'll just keep going with here. I could always say, well, when we learned about how to make the next scale, we go to the fifth degree, keep all the same notes, but sharp the seventh degree. And I would know that since F is the note right before G, it would be F sharp. But for right now, we're going to worry about how many sharps or flats there are. We can add that stuff to the circle of fifths later. So what if I count from G, and I have to use the same scale. So if I count from G, I have G, and I always count the first note as 1. So G, A, B, C. We would have our D major scale about 2 o'clock. And our D major scale is going to have 2 sharps. All right, and then we have to go from, we'll find the next scale at 3 o'clock here is going to be starting at D and F sharp because I know right here. So D, E, F sharp, G, A. So right at 3 o'clock, we're going to have A, and I kind of just noticed this when I didn't get a good recording of it, but if you look, the number of sharps for the same time anyway. 3 sharps. Right where the o'clocks are. This could be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 1 sharp, 2 sharps, 3 sharps. And let's go from A, following the circle of fifths. I would go A, B, C sharp, D, E. And here at 4 o'clock, I'm going to put E, and I know it has 4 sharps. Move this over a little bit. I'll do it this way. I don't know, I just want it to be. And where we go from E, count 5, so I have E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. So here at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have my B major scale, and it's going to have 5 sharps. Oops, let me fix the right parentheses there. All right, and where do we go from B? What note's going to have 6 sharps? I'll move this down a little bit just so they're together. There we go. So I would go B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp. So right here at 6 o'clock, we're going to have our F sharp major scale, and it's going to have 6 sharps. And we can keep going. If I go to F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp. Actually, it would be F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp. So right here at 7 o'clock, it's going to be C sharp, and that's going to give us 7 sharps. And we're going to stop there. And the reason we don't go to 8 sharps is because the 8th note is the same. If you look at this C major scale, I have C right here, D, E, F, G, A, B, and the 8th note, C, is the same as the first note. So if I have 7 sharps, everything is sharp. If this was a C sharp scale, it would be C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and then C. Well, we know from this all the C's are sharp. It's a C sharp scale. This is a C, also C sharp scale. So there's only 7 notes I need to sharp to get around the whole thing. Now you're going to say, what about going the other way? We didn't fill in the circles. Yes, we could go around and do that. And I could add, just keep going around to G sharp, and then D sharp scale, and an A sharp scale, and an E sharp scale, and the B sharp, and then the B sharp scale, which would be enharmonic with C, but we'll get to that in a minute here, how we come about that. So we've sharped every note in our scale. We've got the circle of fifths halfway done, a little more than halfway done, but these are all the notes from C with no sharps or flats to C sharp with all sharps. Let's forget about sharps for a minute and let's work with the circle of fourths when we go to the left, where we're going to use flats. And circle of fourths, so I'm going to count the fourth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is F, and you also flat that fourth degree, and it's the same thing. So I'm going to go with F right here, about here, and it's going to have 1 flat. Now, when I was using sharps, I could use, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. This isn't 1, this would be 11 o'clock. So when I use flats, I can't really use that. All right, let's go to F. So I would have F, G, A, B flat. So right here is B flat major scale. And it's going to have 2 flats. And then right here we're at 9 o'clock, so I would have B flat, C, D, E flat. I'll put that here at 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, it's all not perfect here. And it's going to have 3 flats. And if you look across, look, 1 flat, 1 sharp, 2 flats, 2 sharps, 3 flats, 3 sharps, if you want to think of it that way. All right, so let's do E flat, and I want to go for E flat, F, G, and then I would go to A flat. Now, I'm not going to put A flat in the exact right spot here, but this is going to be 4 flats. Oops. Let me make sure you can still see this. Okay, 4 flats. Now, here's where it may get a little tricky. And here's where they're going to cross. If I go to A flat and I use the 4th degree, I have A flat, B flat, C, D flat. So my D flat, if I'm at the piano, a keyboard, and I play a D and I go down 1 note, make it D flat, I'm actually playing the same note as C sharp. So I'm going to put them together there. So this would actually also be my D flat, and it would have, still following the rule, 5 flats. So right here is where things may look like they're getting a little bit confusing, but let me put these together here. D flat, C sharp are enharmonics notes. It's the enharmonic scales. If I asked you to play all the notes of a C sharp major scale, you would play the same notes as if I asked you to play a D flat major scale. The only difference would be, it might be easier to read the music because I'm looking at all these sharps in one song, and here I'm only looking at 5 flats. We've only got to 5 flats. We need to get to 7 flats. So if I went to D flat and I go by fourths, well, now that we're enharmonic, I can just look at the note. C sharp is the same as D flat. What's F sharp the same as? F sharp would be the same as G flat. And it would have 6 flats. Now keep in mind, it actually has the same amount as flats as sharps, but keep in mind it's not because of where they are on the circle of fifths here. It's because we were going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flats, 6 flats, and over here is 5 sharps, 6 sharps. It just happened to come out that way. Now we're at 6 flats, 7 flats. So over here where this B was, I would use the enharmonic note. B would be the same as C flat, and it would have the 7 flats. So we put these sharps a little better. So that's what this one. Let's see if I can move this without it. Let's put this underneath. Same thing. So yeah, right here towards the bottom, this is kind of where the theory part comes in. You can see if I go circle of fifths, C to C sharp, circle of fourths, and they start to cross right here because of enharmonics, and that's right there. And that's an easy way to figure out how many sharps or flats are in a major scale. Now, let's figure out, using this major scale, how we would use a minor scale. So I use capital letters for all these. I'm sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on a second here. So I used capital letters for all the major scales. I'm going to use lowercase letters for all the minor scales. And what we do is we go to a major scale and take the 6th degree, the 6th note. So I have a C major scale, and if I go to the 6th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would have A. Oh, I capitalized it, huh? A minor. Now, A minor also has no sharps or no flats. And because they use the same notes, they just start and end on a different note, we say they're related, they're relative, because they use the same notes. It's just the scale starts and ends on a different note. If you started on C, you're going to get a major sounding scale. If you started on A, you're going to get a minor sounding scale. And you still follow the same rule. You do the circle of fifths when you go this way. So if this is A, I count A, B, C, D, E. So G major's relative minor is E minor, and it's going to have one sharp. And it's even going to have the same sharp. If G major has an F sharp, E minor is going to have the same notes, including that F sharp. And we just go around again. So E, F sharp, G, A, and B. So D is the major scale, B is the relative minor because they use the same notes, and they both have the same two sharps. The same two notes are sharp in both scales. And if I go from B, so I would have B, C, D, E, and F sharp. So A is the major scale, and the 6th degree of an A major scale would be F sharp. So F sharp is the relative minor, relative to A, also has 3 sharps and the same sharps. And let's keep going with the circle of fifths. If I count from F sharp and I use the F sharp minor scale using the same notes, I get C sharp. So E is the major, C sharp is the relative minor of E major. They both have 4 sharps in their scale, the same 4 sharps. And then here, yes, we get into those crossings again, those enharmonics. If I'm using C sharp and I go 5 notes, I would have, let me see, a minute here, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. So I would have a G sharp scale. G sharp is going to have the same amount of sharps as B, same 5 sharps. And I'm trying to think of how we get here. So we would go to the next one. If I go 5 from G sharp, it's actually D sharp. Whoops, we want a small one. D sharp. And there is the, it's going to have 6 sharps. F sharp's relative minor is D sharp. It's going to have 6 sharps, the same 6 sharps. And because we're saying sharps, we're sticking to sharps. And then 5 from D is going to be a sharp. Same notes as C sharp, the 7 sharps. So same thing. C major had no sharps or flats, but C sharp major had all them sharp. So if A minor has no sharps or flats, A minor, if A minor had no sharps or flats, A sharp minor is going to have all 7 sharps. And then we go this way again, and we get the minor scales this way. Well, what would, so A and then I go in circle of fourths. So what's 4 away from A? Well, I go A, B, C, D. So D is the relative minor to F major, and it's going to have one flat. Let's go 4 more for the next one. I go D, E, F, G. Oops, putting that in the wrong place. I don't want to do that and confuse you. So the relative minor of B flat is G minor. It has 2 flats, the same flats. Let's go 4 from G. G, A, B flat, C. Right? So E flat major, the relative minor is C. They both have 3 flats, the same flats. Then let's keep going. 4 from C would be F. Same thing. A flat major, I said what's the relative minor? It would be F, and they would have 4 flats, the same 4 flats. You could also say backwards. If I said what's the relative major of F minor, you would say A flat major. Now we're still only at 4 flats. We got to get to these 7 flats, which is way over here, so I would have to think about this. So if I said the 4th note of F minor would be the same as B flat, and if you look, again, they're enharmonic. If you went to the keyboard and I asked you to play an A sharp, you would go to the A note and raise it 1. But if I asked you to play a B flat, you would go to the B and lower it 1, so you'd end up on the same note. So I could even finish these off. So I know this only has 5 flats. I have D sharp. What else? What would be next? Well, its enharmonic note would be E flat. And even if I count from B, B, C, D, E is 4 notes. So I have E flat, which is the same enharmonic as D sharp, but I'm looking at the flats. So E flat, 6 flats. And then the last one, I would go A flat. I could check it several ways. Well, from E, 4 notes away is A, E, F, G, A. So I know it's right. I could also look at the enharmonic. So if G sharp, the enharmonic note, the same note with a different name, is A flat. Or if A minor had no flats in it, A flat minor is going to have all the notes flat in it. And remember that I explained that we would only do 7 notes because the 8th note is the same. This first note and the last note is C. Here the first and last note would be A. So the first note we would flat A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F flat, G flat. Then we'll be back at A, but we already said the first note was A flat, so this note is A flat again too. And I hope that helps understand a little more how these are related to the minor keys and how you get how many sharps or flats are in that.